Hi folks, just came back from a really lovely evening where I went to dinner and then went to a talk by the Norfolk Folklore Society, which was lovely and gave me the inspiration to start sharing some locations off of one of my many Google lists, which is haunted. So, I've got just a couple of places in Norfolk for you that are considered to be haunted. And all of these photos are taken by me, except for a couple of the last ones that are from their official website. So, first one. Oh yeah, now the green screen doesn't work. Fuck you too, buddy. First up, in Norwich itself, Firebridge. So, Firebridge was basically a place where they dunked witches. And when I say witches, I mean people who were accused of witchcraft. There's a really super pleasant little sign on a local building right next to it that talks about how, and I don't remember the exact quote, but it's basically how they dunked criminals and misbehaving women there. And really, we all know how the witch trials went, right? Yeah. That particular location is said to have lights floating above the water where women unfortunately drown. Next up, Castleacre. So there's actually not that much in Castleacre itself, but there is said to be a monk that walks on the path toward Castleacre, probably from Castleacre Priory. Next up, Blickling Hall. Blickling Hall is the birthplace of Anne Boleyn, and despite the fact that most records indicate that she would not have spent a lot of time there, it still has a pretty common ghost tale to anywhere that has any remote associations with Anne Boleyn, and that's that she rides toward it in a carriage with her headless body or something like that. I don't know. Basically, it's associated with Anne Boleyn. Also, here's a fun one. I think this version of the house was built long after she was gone. But, yeah, it has the name Anne Boleyn associated with it, so her headless ghost is clearly there. Because of course it is. Next up is Castle Rising. So this has been touted as like a severely haunted location. This was the home of Queen Isabella, who is just really charmingly known as the She-Wolf, and apparently you can hear her cackling maniacally, because, you know, who doesn't love a good, we didn't like this woman, so now she's a scary ghost story. Now we have Raynham Hall. That is not my photo, that's from the official website. So, Dorothy Walpole is the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. She was the lady of the house. She's also just coincidentally the sister to our first Prime Minister. But the thing that's really notable is that she was photographed. That, like, blurry blob of mist in the middle of an old staircase that you see most of the time if anyone's talking about spirit photography, that's the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. It was photographed by two photographers from Country Life magazine. It was the source of great debate for some time. Basically, this poor woman had some sad things in her life, not the least of which being that she died of smallpox. So, a descendant of hers, whose name was Gladys, she was really into all this. She wrote a book with, like, a buddy about ghost stories, and it was just very much the en vogue thing because this was during Victorian spiritualism. Last but not least, Felbrick Hall. Look at that. That looks haunted, doesn't it? The poor gentleman who apparently haunts Felbrick Hall, whose name I believe is William Wyndham, he died in potentially the most relatable way. He really loved books. There is a massive library in Felbrick Hall because Mr. Wyndham, or Lord Wyndham probably, really loved books. And at one point he was passing a friend's house, which he knew to have quite a large and important library, and that the buildings near the friend's house were on fire. So He did what any sane, book-loving person would do, and he went to save them. No, he did not die in the fire. He did not die of smoke inhalation. He injured himself. So this man who successfully helped save his friend's library fell and bruised himself during this, and that bruise became a tumor, and the tumor ended up needing operating on, and the operation didn't go well, and eventually, due to complications, he died. He just died. So, that's what happened back then. You died. This man is said to haunt the library of Felbrick Hall. Which, again, that is a super haunted looking place, right? Like, just vibe check alone, it's haunted. So these are just a couple of haunted places that are a little bit creepy that you can visit if you ever find yourself in Norfolk. So I'm going to do a series, I think, and I have a whole Google list. If you go to travelthisuniverse.weebly.com, you can find all kinds of lists. Let's do Suffolk next, hey? Alright. See you in Suffolk.